Good evening, everyone. You can take a seat or take a stand, whichever one you feel comfortable with. My name is Olu Jabari. I'm part of the official Democratic Black Caucus of Macomb, and we want to welcome you to our second candidates forum. This is going to be an opportunity for each candidate to have 3 minutes to deliver their platform. So basically give us an introduction of who you are, what you're running for, and give us a little bit about your platform in 3 minutes. It will be timed. We ask you to respect the time because at the end there's going to be some questions and answers. They're going to be asking you questions, and we want you to have adequate time to answer those questions. I mean, if you have to leave, we understand, but we want to offer this to the community so that they can not only see who you are, but hear who you are. So outside of that, we're going to be watching a video, and we picked the video because we thought it was important to all communities, not just Warren, but it's significant to everything we do, not only here in Warren, but all across America. So we're going to be doing that. Also, Joe's going to be coming and giving you some more information about what he needs you to do, and then after that, we will continue to move forward. We will call the candidates up according to how you signed in. If somebody's not here and they happen to show up, we'll put them on that list as well. Any questions? No? Joe?
All right, thank you. Hello, everyone. Joel Rutherford. I'm standing for Jackie Kelly, our chair. She's a little under the weather, but being the trooper she is, she's still here. So, I want to give her a round of applause. One thing I will ask, any candidates, if you haven't signed in yet, would you please sign in now? Because otherwise what will happen is we won't know you're here, and I don't want to leave anybody out.
Yep.
We're going to do this video. We're also going to have cards for questions. What we ask is basically, just keep it pertaining to the candidates, or if you want to ask a mayoral question or a city council question, that's fine too, and we'll get through as many as we can. But, again, time will be limited. We want to respect all of your times. We'll show the video, and when the candidates come in, one thing I would ask, because I don't want anybody to feel like they get anything sprung on them or something that ambushed or whatever. The one thing I'd ask is this: when you give your presentation, at the end of it, if you can say one thing that you are going to do for the black community. The reason why I ask this is a Democratic Black Caucus, okay? We're the ones holding this. We need to know from each candidate what your plan is. So if there's just one thing, we're not asking for a litany or a big long list, but one thing that you see that you feel really needs to be done for the black community, we greatly appreciate this, because the one thing is, you're all going to get a copy of this afterwards. That's why it's important to make sure you have your email and everything else on there. So we want to make sure our community's voices are heard, and then this way they get to hear from candidates, okay, what's your plan? All right?
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and roll the video.
I don't think we need all the lights up.
No.
Now you see why I'm so passionate about making sure we get people in office who care about the community. Right. Not just to colored people, but all people, but definitely in my community, where I'm not served, I want to make sure that we put out there. I have no problem with saying that. I need people who's going to take care of all of Warren, not just a select few. Right. And that's what this video is all about. It's about taking care of the people. Okay, being in the office, that's great. But until you're doing some work where you include everybody, it doesn't matter. Right. Okay? And we want to make sure we give everybody an equitable opportunity to say what you have to say, do things you say you're going to do, and participate in activity that deals with the area you live in Warren. So what we're going to do, if you have your cards, I'll collect the cards for questions, and Joe is going to come up and call candidates one at a time to speak, and we'll have 3 minutes. We'll get a timer going, a 3-minute timer. And when the time is up, please stop, because you'll have time at the end to answer some questions, okay? Any questions thus far? I think we had another candidate come in a minute ago. She probably needs to sign your list, Joe.
Oh, yeah.
So if you need a card, let me know. Definitely want to hear from you.
I have a comment. You had said earlier that you want each candidate to explain at the end what they're going to do for the community. That was from Joel.
Yeah.
Can we kind of make it so that they don't all say the same thing?
Well, I hope that you would.
You know, I mean,
Because here's the thing. All
because
right.
we've heard that at other events.
Yes, sir.
And every candidate says the exact same thing, right? One right after the
Well,
other.
here's the thing I will say. If candidates follow suit and say the same thing, our community is going to know you're not genuine.
Right.
So believe me, that's not going to get you any votes. The best thing you can do is be open and honest about this. Because the one thing, especially from this video, that our caucus is very concerned about is education. We have to educate voters so they know what they're voting for and why. Because we have to do better than what we did last, 4 years ago, the primary? Overall voter turnout for Warren was 17%. So that means you have, around 20,000 people deciding what's going to happen in the third largest city, in the state. So all I say is just be honest, just say what you feel. That's all we want to hear from people. We just want the truth so that way the people that see these videos afterwards, like I said, they're educated and they know where you're coming from. So I hope that, like I said, whatever you have to say are not just an elevator speech and talking points, but really what you have in mind, that what you want to do for the city that you want to represent. Okay.
That's what I wanted to clarify.
Sure, oh, most definitely, most definitely. So we're going to do this by the way you signed in. I know Mr. John Randall's here to represent Jocelyn Howard. You want to speak? All right. We ask everybody to speak here at the podium because the cameras are set up, and just give me a good sign.
My good side?
Yeah, I mean, either you got both covered. You all right.
So did my 3 minutes start already? Okay, so hi, folks of citizens of Warren. I'm John Randall. As you can see, I am not Jocelyn Howard, but I'm here to represent her. I've known Jocelyn Howard for many, many, many years. She is at heart, a public servant. She served on your planning commission for years as the chairperson of the planning commission, and her heart is with the city of Warren. She could not be here, so I apologize on her behalf. She did have a wedding that she had to attend. Her nephew was getting married out of state, and again, she apologizes for not being here. But she said, if at any point I get into a situation where I can't answer any of your questions, to phone a friend. So that's what I plan to do if I ever get to that point. So here's some things again about Jocelyn, some of the things that she wanted me to share. First and foremost, one of the important things, as Mr. Rutherford mentioned earlier, is voter participation. Okay, 4,000 people voting for an individual, getting a candidate in office is not the will of the people. Okay, so one of the first things that Jocelyn has been doing is working with a couple of community-based organizations to increase voter registration. Okay, we want to get more voters involved in the political process. The taxpayers, we're public servants. She's a public servant, so she wants to make sure that those tax dollars are being spent well, and she wants to make sure that those individuals that are voting know that they have a voice. So giving them that voice through their voter registration. Involving the seniors in the community, okay? As we know, seniors get left behind a lot of times. This is one of the only countries where our seniors are thrown into nursing homes and forgotten about. Okay, she wants to make sure that those things are not happening. I personally have gone out in the community with Jocelyn, talking to seniors, and we did an ice cream social recently at one of the senior community homes. And one of the things, two things that they said that were very important to them. One was the access to the city council meetings and the meetings that are televised. They can't get them through the cable services. If you don't have cable service, like if you have just like an Amazon Fire Stick or something like that, you can't get access to this. So one of Jocelyn's commitments is to make sure that they're able to participate in that process by being aware of what's going on. The other thing is the subsidized housing. One of the seniors mentioned to Jocelyn that the price of, so she's on a fixed income, and the price of the subsidized housing keeps going up. So how does she continue to live a normal life when the expenses are going up and her income's not going up? So what can we do about that? Those type of things. Her plan is aligned with the city's master plan. She actually gave me a photocopy of the city's master plan, and part of our strategy is to implement a lot of those things that are in the plan. First of all, she wants to increase increase resources on the south side. Does that mean? Is that my 5 minutes? That's 5 minutes warning?
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
3 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
So-
We'll have some question and answers. also
Okay,
at
sure.
the end, so appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, next up, Councilmember Gary Watts is running in District 4. I know that 3 minutes goes quick.
Wow.
I only got 12 pages. So I'm Gary Watts. I currently serve in District 4. I'm on my first 4-year term. I'm a lifelong resident in Warren. I grew up at 8 in Van Dyke, at 8 in Mound. First house was at 8 in Hoover, and then 13 in Hayes. Graduated Fitzgerald, 30 years employee at Macomb Community College, and retired. My strong suits are blight. I want to get the blight problems cleaned up. We got a lot of overgrown grass, and I'm not talking about houses, only houses. I'm talking about city properties. A lot of things going on in this town that we need to clean up and get things viable. The other thing is our downtown. Our downtown used to be 9 in Van Dyke, and it was torn down in the 80s, and nothing's ever been developed down here. 8 Mile to Stevens has been let go. We need to fix that problem. We need to spend some money down here, get some restaurants, some entertainment districts, some things like that going on. It's just, it's unacceptable. Parks and Rec, we need our parks program restored. We need to have recreation programs in the parks for the kids to attend during the summer when they're out of school. And, you know, we're getting a lot of complaints about the restrooms. Restrooms aren't open. There's just a lot of work to do in the parks. We just need to fix the problem. And I'm kind of a bulldog when it comes to that. I don't like the politic way or the government way of doing things. I like the business way. Let's just get in there and get it done and make it happen for the people. I'm strong on fire and police. Anybody knows me, I'm a huge backer of police and fire. We're going to build a new fire station right next door here for the south end. And it's going to be a state-of-the-art. It's going to really improve the neighborhood. It'd be a great thing. Now, housing. We've had a lot of talk on this on council. We give away properties all the time for $1. Vacant properties, we sold some houses for $1. I think that we need to take those properties and bring them in, make a housing or land bank, and try to do some things with those to help people build homes, and then to help people become a homeowner rather than a rental. Maybe take some of that money we're using in CBDG funds and things like that and help people with their down payment so they can become a homeowner and, you know, help them improve their life. The other thing are trees. We've cut down a lot of trees and we haven't done anything about it. And we need to plant trees, we need to trim the existing trees. If you drive along our main roadways, there was a program at one time to have a nice tree canopy in this city, and they've all been let go by lack of maintenance, and we need to fix all that stuff. And lastly, what will I do for your community? I'll listen to you just like I listen to everybody in this community. We're all one. And we all need to work together to make things happen. I've done that for the last 4 years. I don't care who calls me, my phone's always on. People are amazed. They call me and they're like, wow, Councilman, you actually answered your phone. That's my job. I'm your council person, so thank you.
up, we'll have Pat Green, who's a mayoral candidate, current city council member at large.
I'm not used to this side of the fence. Good evening, everyone. My name is Pat Green, and I'm running for mayor for the city of Warren. A little bit about my background. I grew up at 11 Mile and Ryan. I live at 13 Mile and Ryan now with my wife, Pilar, and our 6 kids, 4 of which are out, 2 more left. Hopefully not soon. I own a business in Clinton Township, and my parents retired from Fitzgerald and Warren Con schools. Brother was police chief, sister-in-law was chief assistant city attorney. Gary's right, there's a lot of blight that has to be worked on, and he does a great job at it. In the 3 minutes that I have, or what I have left of the 3 minutes, really quick, Gary touched on it, parks. We've talked about how all the parks need to be renovated, and they sadly do. The park system generates about $7.2 million a year in special revenue. It needs about another $2 million a year to get it right. After fixing everything, we're going to have summer park programs running from June to August, where you're going to have a park attendant running programs for kids in every single park in the city all summer long. That's what we used to have, and that's when it brings the core of the community back. Over the past couple years, what we've done for the entire city includes some of the highlights. We've passed ordinances such as a diversity, equity, and inclusion ordinance that hasn't been published. Why hasn't that been published? Last night we passed an anti-discrimination ordinance. Hopefully that'll be published. There's been, several others over the years that are out there that will help all the residents of Warren, and they haven't been published. It's a lot of the work we've done to make things streamlined and right for everyone that the current administration is holding back, and we can't let that happen. We put together a very diverse slate to work with so that we have a good representation of the city, and we want to make sure that the administration, if elected, also reflects that diversity within the city. I'm actually interviewing, or talking to, I can't say interviewing, I'm talking to HR directors that understand that and have done that across the entire state. One of the things that, looking at the clock, 40 seconds. Parks. There's a lot of stuff. There's so many things that we can do, and every single department that we can focus on. But the one thing that we're going to do for your community, as we said, we've done a lot of the work with the diversity, equity, and inclusion, and making sure that that department brings in a balanced administration and balanced employees and good policy across the city. But the most important thing is that we have everyone here. I know what I know, you know what you know. But what we've learned, what the current council's all learned, and myself, we have to listen, and that's what we'll do. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, Mr. Alfonso King, who's a mayoral candidate.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Alfonso King, and I'm running for candidate for mayor. I served in the United States Air Force for 25 years. I graduated there with an honorable discharge. I'm a veteran of 2 wars, Vietnam and Desert Storm. I'm also a UAW Chrysler retiree, so I'm here 2 guys. I've lived in the city of Macomb for almost 18 years, 10 of them in Warren. As the mayor, I will address the public safety issues, seek more federal funds to help bolster our police, fire, and EMS department. I will improve programs and services for seniors and veterans, and that's a big deal. Veterans have been being shut down on medical and other entities that they need to be taken care of. And we need to get there and make sure, since they served us, we need to do something to show them back what we need to do. Okay, I know the importance of skilled trades. I'm an advocate for increasing skilled trades in Warren secondary schools. This is something that kids don't know about, that they need to learn, because everybody doesn't want to go to college. Skilled trades is another field they can get into to get out there and reach themselves and do a good job. Okay, I will implement the opportunities to engage communities and residents and stakeholders in a call to action for inclusivity in the city. Also, it's critical to government to improve communication, transparency between mayor, city council, and city clerk to better serve our citizens according to the city charter. I'm concerned about the American Rescue Plan Act, funds that have not been fully allocated and are in danger of clawing back the federal government. We must coordinate both public and private entities to ensure effective policies related to zoning, pesticides, noise, lighting, pollution, traffic control, waste management, and their plant building ordinance. In keeping with our Public Act 134 and 135, we will implement national complete streets as adopted by the Warren City Council. I support the complete street policy, bikes, and pedestrian pathways. Additionally, we will partner with the business community to build walkable business districts. Together, we can restore trust, transparency, and create an all-inclusive Warren City. God bless our America. God bless America and our troops. Thank you. I want to talk about for the blacks is the contracting with the blacks, getting more contracts for blacks in the city of Warren. And I think that's a very big deal that we've got good contractors out there. Thank you.
Next will be Donna Martin, candidate for Warren City Council at large.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Donna Kaiser-Comartin, running for Warren City Council at large. I've been a resident here for 43 years, raised my family, and made Warren my home. I definitely have the experience to be on council, the background needed to assist our residents openly, and like supporting the community with open transparency. I've always been a phone call to everybody when I was on council. I served on the Planning Commission for 11 years and was on the Warren City Council for 8, served as the council vice president. There were people after I had left council that had still called me for assistance and wanted to know in certain areas what to do. I've been in Macomb County as a realtor for 35 years, so I know what's important to our home values. We have to have, no matter what mayor gets elected, it's really important that we look at who's going to be there and that we communicate with them and that we make it all possible for everybody, that our communication lines are opened up to receive and to hear and to move the city forward, because without moving the city forward, we get stuck and we can't go anywhere. So we can't move, we can't do anything that is going to be progressive for this community. It's a desirable place to live. We want to make it that. We want to make our home values where they are appreciating. We want people to want to live in Warren and bring in our parks and recs definitely need rehab, that is for sure. The bathrooms are in very poor condition, so there's a lot of areas that need to be addressed with that. Knowing the property values and what kind of investments, when I was on the Planning Commission, it was great because I knew what kind of developments went in. You know, the site plans, the planning department has neighborhoods, community, connecting, maybe doing open meetings where you get participation with the citizens so you know that their voices are being heard. I've served and worked with experience on the grants with the police and the fire department. We had reconfigured the whole fire department with the actual billing, and that has really increased where our city has gone because now we have better equipment. Before we used to have equipment that broke down all the time. So all those things that we put into place, they really have come forward and made our city a better city. Development for our youth in the community, and that's what the Parks and Recs programs, having some diversification so it meets everybody's needs. Try to find out what the community needs and desires. Oh, sorry, I have a lot more to say too.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then really just unity between all people, kind of having diversification on our commissions is what I would like to do for the general public and everybody in this area of Black Caucus. Thank you.
Next up, Mike Riley, candidate for City Council at large.
Good evening. My name is Mike Riley. I'm a candidate for Warren City Council at large. And I want to thank the Democratic Black Caucus of Macomb County for hosting this event and for the kind invitation to participate. It's very much appreciated. I attended Warren Woods Public Schools, and I hold a bachelor's degree in HR training and development with a minor in labor relations from Oakland University. In addition, I also hold a certificate as a substance use disorder recovery coach from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. When elected to City Council, I will support strong police, fire, and EMS and city services. I support the improvement to our city and residential infrastructure and will advocate for much better coordination and communication between the city, the county, and state agencies. I fully support a strong blight inspection department and the follow-up actions required in order to satisfy both residential and commercial compliance of our blight ordinances. And I think it goes without saying that our parks need to be cleaned up, modernized, and made available to our residents during all 4 seasons. The City of Warren is due to receive approximately $4 million from the opioid settlement fund. We have already received the first installment of over $500,000, and to my knowledge, there has not been any direct action taken to put a plan in place to address this tragic epidemic. Addiction does not discriminate, and we need to develop and implement a plan that includes our drug court, public safety, administration, community partners, and city council representation. Because of my experience working directly with those affected by substance use, I have established relationships and contacts. This benefits the city as we develop goals and address substance use in our community with purpose. I truly believe that improving health in our community is vital. I pledge to be a good steward of your hard-earned tax dollars, and your agenda will be my agenda. Please know that your vote will have a voice when Mike Riley is elected to City Council. I was born and raised right here in Warren, and after my father passed away unexpectedly in the mid-1970s, my mother showed me what the true meaning of resiliency, hard work, and character meant, as she took night and weekend courses at Macomb Community College in order to go back into the work world and provide for her 4 kids, 2 who were under the age of 10. All while doing other things required to make the house run. She was eventually employed by the Pepsi company, where she spent many years working in its distribution center at 10 Mile and DeQuinder. She was a remarkable woman who was devoted to her family, her faith, and her community, the City of Warren. I share this because as I began to give consideration to placing my name on the ballot to run for City Council, I realized I wished to be part of and contribute to our community, my community, the City of Warren, by serving you, its citizens, as a member of this governing body, and to do so with the same traits that my mother taught and instilled in me, with hard work, honesty, and integrity. If I was elected to City Council, what I would, and I don't mean to echo what's already been said, but with my background in HR, diversity is very important, and I would want our city commissions and our departments to represent and look like our city, which is everybody. Thank you very much for your time.
Next up, Vince Birdie, candidate for City Clerk.
First off, thanks again to the Black Caucus group for doing this. This is a great event. This is my second event I'm getting involved in. This is my first time getting involved in politics at a local level. I'm a kid from the east side of Detroit. I graduated from Debbie High School. So we've lived in Warren for 28 years. Our wife and I have raised 2 boys here. We've been very successful, and as many of you know, Connor ran for City Council back in 2019. So we have a strong background in what's going on in our city these days. My wife is currently a board member of the Warren Consolidated School Board as well too. So The reason I decided to step up and run for the clerk's office is, again, there's a lot of wrong things going on in our city right now. I decided I want to make a difference. I have 30 years of management experience in business development, project management. I've been working for the automotive industry for 30 years. I spent a lot of time in the aerospace industry as well too, so I have a good range of actually understanding what needs are and what high pressure situations are going to become. We know elections are, especially coming next year, we have a big election. It's going to be a very high pressure area. I want to make sure that as a hiring manager for 20 years that I'm going to bring the right people in place. And part of that is, again, going back to the original issue of let's make sure how can we get the community involved. We need to reach out and have town halls and making sure that we have a very diverse representation of what the city's going to be to help us run these elections. Education is paramount to making sure that we have the right elections and they're run the proper and secure way as well too. It's most important to me that we make sure that our city is going forward now, and that's why I decided to step up, because when I've talked to leaders going back to January, the city's kind of been very stagnant. And again, I think it's important to bring some fresh blood into this equation at this point in time. Again, we have to keep moving our city in the proper direction. Again, reaching out to the African American communities, actually last week we had a forum that one of the questions was asked, what do you really love about Warren? And my question was how diverse Warren has become. We taught our kids growing up, there's no such thing as race, there's no such thing as, inclusion. We have to make sure that everybody understands that we're all here equally. And making sure that we have the right environment and representation of our city is key in my view as well too. So, thank you.
Thank you. Next, Henry Noonan, candidate for Warren City Council, District 5. Say it right this time.
Well, thank you so much for having me here. I'm very proud and honored to be endorsed by the official Macomb County Democratic Black Caucus, also by the Michigan Building and Construction Trades Council, the International Union of Painters and Allied Trades, AFSCME, and the Sierra Club. And actually, the Sierra Club is how I got involved in this, in politics, because the Sierra Club wanted to bring the Cool Cities program to Warren, and we came to Mayor Steenberg, and we were just rejected. And then we went to Mayor Fouts, and he said, sure, you can form an energy and advisory committee. And one of the things that came out of that was an LED streetlight project on Martin from Van Dyke to the east side of the city. Well, that project, that in 1 year, that saved $100,000. After that, the city council decided to do all the city streets with LED lights. Just imagine the amount of money saved. Well, what would I do for the black citizens of Warren? I think that the answer is what I've been going for the entire time I've been campaigning this year. My campaign manager and I have knocked on about 4,500 doors. We're trying to knock on all the doors of the likely voters and find out what do they want, what's going on with them, and to let them know that I want to be their voice on the city council. My cell phone number is on my literature, 586-360-4998. If a citizen needs help with the city, I want them to call me. I plan on going and talking to them, finding out what's going on, and do my best to turn it around for them. If, for instance, if a black person was being intimidated by police, it could happen. It happens in a lot of places. I would look forward to going and talking with them and standing with them and doing my best to turn that around. So I want better things for the seniors. I want an ombudsperson for seniors to check out that they're actually doing okay, because I've knocked on a lot of doors of seniors who aren't doing okay, and there's nobody there to help to connect them to what's available. There are a lot of services which are available. They need to be connected. We need to be looking out after our seniors. Also veterans. One of the veterans I know says, I'm not going to beg, but no one's coming to ask me how I am. That's terrible. Really heartrending. And then the kids coming out of COVID. I'm a school board trustee. I've been on the Centerline School Board, though I live in Warren, for 13 years. And they need social emotional development. So everyone is talking about making after-school programs in the parks. I think that's great. We really need it. So I'm Henry Noonan. I'm running for Warren City Council District 5, and I hope that the people in my district will please vote for me. Thank you.
Next up, Mr. Bill Cliff, who's City Council candidate for District 1.
Thanks, Joel. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for having me here this evening. I'm going to have to run out after I'm done with my thing. I've got important things going on in 2 neighborhood meetings tonight. Grind, grind, grind. We all know how it is. So don't take it as a sign of any kind of disrespect. I'll leave some literature. Anybody want to email me or call me? Email me or call me. So we heard about a whole bunch of things about what people want to do. I want to talk about what I've already kind of done and what I hope to keep carrying over. Founder, Executive Director of Safer Neighborhoods. That came about back in, what was it, Gary, about 2017, 2016? Crime is happening, crime's going on everywhere, things are happening. Much to my chagrin and dismay, I'm like back my first term in Warren in the 1990s, where we had a little over 28 community policing officers on staff, and we did neighborhood meetings and active patrolling. My return back to the city, I discovered we had 8 to cover the whole town, and the program and the process is just not working. So one of the things I'd like to advocate for if elected is I'd like to bring something on that term back. Community engagement, citizen engagement is important. We all work together, everybody knows what's happening. We can get issues taken care of and resolved. We get rid of the bad elements out of our town. I lived next to a drug house for 4.5 years. Everybody to the top levels of the administration in this town knew it and did shit about it, pardon my French. Unacceptable. There's too many things going on in this town that's unacceptable. I view this city as a transient society because our voter turnout clearly demonstrates that people are not invested here in what's going on. I don't know if it is because they don't care, we're a stepping stone to someplace else. Let's change that. Let's bring people here and let's keep people here. And let's get them to invest in our community. 3 minutes is an awful short amount of time. So a little bit of background on me. I'm a United States Army armor veteran, tankers hoo-ah, right? I went into the manufacturing transportation field after my discharge from the military. The last 17 years of that was with a regional transportation company here in town right now, but they're fixing to leave for bigger and brighter things, Dayton Freight Lines. I worked there for a little over 17 years. I not only held the steering wheel making people mad on the freeway, I was also a lead driver trainer and a safety advocate, regional safety instructor for that company. I like interacting and working with people. I don't know if I'm coming across that way or not, but I just believe in people. People, unity is cohesiveness, cohesiveness is moving things forward. And I don't need my 3 minutes, I think I'm done. Please pick up a card, follow me on Facebook, come and have a beer or a soft drink at my little fire pit meetings in the evening at the house. My garage is usually open on the weekends. I like to sit around, chit chat, see what we can do to solve all the problems of the world. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up is Mr. Khaja Hussein, City Council candidate for District 1.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Khaja Hussein. My first name is Khaja, last name is Hussein. I came in United States back in 2012 with my parents. I have graduated from Princeton High School back in 2014, and I got my bachelor in computer science from Wayne State University, and currently I'm working as an electrical engineer in General Motors. Also, I'm a real estate investor. I've been investing in real estate in City of Warren and City of East Point, all around the city. Actually 3 minutes, so I got a lot of values that I am running for upcoming elections. Let's discuss some of the important values that I want to run for. As I'm an immigrant, I want to work for diversity of Warren. As I'm an immigrant, came from a minor community, minor groups. Been living about 14 years in City of Warren. I see a lot of things on the right. And we all know the George Floyd incident happened in Minnesota. After that incident is keep coming in my eyes till as today. Also, we recently seen in the media that one of the police officers in the city of Warren was dragging one of my brother and punching him and throwing him in the police custody. So if I elect, I will have a strong voice for all the communities, especially for all the minor communities and the black communities. If I elect, I'll have a strong word for our diverse, make a united city of Warren, not a racist city of Warren that we all know, one of the most racist city in the city of Warren.
Right.
The second, I'll work for our seniors. We know we have a huge fund for our city. If I elect, I know my dad is 65 years old. He still works, so I know what actually the senior need. So I'll fight for a proper fund for our seniors and expand in the different programs in the senior service. I will also work for our safety. If I elect, I'll fight for the council and hire the good police commissioner and expend more fund for our police to not defund them, to train them, to love our residents and help us and keep all our streets safe for our city residents in the city of Warren. Also, I would work for the create more jobs. As I'm a real estate investor, I have a huge experience for investing. So we all know that we have a down to project that we're hanging on that current councillor are not voting to pass it. So if I elect, I'll fight for the project which create more job and value and keep the value for our city. There's a lot more. I also work for, if I elect, I'll fight for the proper fund for education system. As I'm a student, as graduate from Fitzgerald and the Wayne State, I know what the input we need for our education system. I'll fight for enough fund and put enough fund for our education system as well. And again, thank you, the Black Girls, for having me. And I'm a new face in the politics. I want to do a lot more good things. I wish I have more time to explain. So I would appreciate a vote on August 8th if you look at me on District 1. Thank you very much.
All right.
So next up, we have
Just
Dr.
wanna keep it nice.
Ahmed, candidate for City Council at large.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Khanja Shahab Ahmed, running for Warren City Council at large. It is my pleasure and honor to be here with all of you. You are all my leaders, and I'm here to be your public servant. We hear all the agendas, a lot of speakers, a lot of projects, but this is what I believe. My last 30 days, I'm going and knocking the doors, shaking hands with my neighbors. My agenda is the Warren residents' people's agenda. When I go, I share with my views and Warren voters' views. So I want to work people's what they are asking. And I make sure that I'm not going to be promised a bunch of agendas and I'm not doing any one of these in my term. I believe what I promise to my people, and I might make sure my time is available for them, not my own and my family. This is what I believe. So Warren residents has many concerns, and as you know, that I graduate also from the City University of New York. I'm a business manager. I've been promoting the Burger King last 30 years. My one job, and I'm still doing with Burger King, the fast food industry locally and internationally. So this is my honor. And I have, in my management time, I gave many school students, college freshman students, jobs. They are now, have a great degree. They are very humble. Lots of them are very dignified in the position. So I've been working last 25 to 30 years in the New York to in the Macomb County, especially in Warren and Hamtramck. Those are my neighborhood. I've been working with the people. I'm the friends of the people, and I love to be friends of the people. And whatever the city agenda, of course, whoever going to be elected, we have to be amplify those things for people's need, but we need to keep our promise. Nowadays, the most important thing, nobody keep their promise. So we need to be committed to our residents, to our voter who gave their vote, their support, their advice to you. Make sure you are always with them. And my phone is open. And also, as you know, that I'm a Fitzgerald School Board trustee, and it is my honor again to be work all of you. And if you feel that I'm as a diversified, as an immigrant citizen, please vote for me. And again, Macomb County Black Caucus endorse me. It is my honor, for my family honor, and it is my privilege and honor to be here. Thank you all.
Next up is Michael Howard, candidate for Warren City Council, District 2.
I just want to read a quote from John Lewis. Do not get lost in a sea of despair. Be hopeful. Be optimistic. Our struggle is not the struggle of a day, a week, a month, or a year. It is the struggle of a lifetime. Never ever be afraid to make some noise and get in some good trouble. Good, necessary trouble. My name is Michael Howard. I'm running for City Council in District 2. A lot of candidates are going to come up here, and we're going to say some of the same things because the needs of our community, unfortunately, aren't that obvious. We need to invest in our parks and recreation. We need to invest in our public safety. Public safety is a quality of life issue. We need to invest in community policing and even think about ways. I met with the chief of gang squad in Detroit, and what he said was, police can only police crime, because that's their job. But churches and nonprofits and city organizations can get on the front end and help prevent crime, help reach students and young folks and alleviate needs before that option or that reality is ever chose. People are going to talk about the American Disabilities Act that's something that's very important to my family. I had a 7-year-old sister who passed away, and we actually had to move out of state because we couldn't get accessibility here in Michigan. And also as a son of a veteran. So there's common things that are going to be said over and over again. But when it comes to the city council, our job is legislative, and it's to allocate the funds of the budget. So I just want to bring up just a few things that are in my mind in regards to future ordinances upon getting elected. An anti-discrimination ordinance that actually has teeth to it, where we can actually do something and how it can apply to it. A moral ethics ordinance for local government officials. It does not, like Ray Charles can see that Warren needs an ethics ordinance for all local officials. Our county has adopted one. I feel like our city has, as well as our state. Our city should as well. Ann Arbor laid out a great blueprint of investigating its police force and figuring out disproportionate realities, and they put forward a minor traffic violation ordinance that I think is something that we should look into. You have to study it first. You can't go in overnight. We have to look at a lot of different things, but that's something that we should start working towards. Another one is, and you're seeing this in different parts of the nation. Detroit right now is looking at something like this in regards to vacant property ordinances. One of the things that a lot of us talk about is investment. Well, you have businesses that are holding on to properties because they're waiting for Amazon to come buy it, and it stays vacant. Well, vacant property, we all know, is an invitation of crime. It's an invitation of blight, and it does no good for the community. And so some cities around the country are implementing ordinances that address blight and vacant buildings and things like that. Oh, is that 3 minutes already? No. Well, there you go.
You get at least another 30 seconds. The last 4 went over, so go on.
Well, I'll end with the question that you asked us to end on. So I serve, I'm a business owner. I own several businesses. I serve on the board of several nonprofits. And with every entity that I'm associated with, our goal is to move the needle towards racial reconciliation, move the needle to building bridges. So what can I do for this community as a whole, for Black communities, for the Bengali community, for white, and everything in between, is building bridges to a better future and doing exactly what John Lewis said, getting into some good trouble together.
Right. Next up is Mr. Charles Perry, candidate for Warren City Council, District 1.
Good evening. My name is Charles Perry, and I'm running for Warren City Council, District 1. I'm a Vietnam combat veteran, and after I came back from Vietnam, I decided to go into information technology. IT is my background. I'm currently retired. I'm currently on the Zoning Board of Appeals, been on that for a little over 2 years. And that really opened my eyes on how a city is run. And once I seen how these things have happened, you know, how diverse Warren has become in the last 24 years that I've lived here, there have to be some changes. We have, what I've learned on the zoning board is you have people coming in and want to build multi-level structures, apartments, and single-family home zones, and we can't have that. We want to have more green spaces for Warren. We have these small little patches of green spaces that need to be developed even a little bit more. This evening I was out walking, knocking doors, and I ran across a couple in the historic district of Warren, and there's a park across the street from them. And she was talking about, well, you know, this is nice, you know, but they wanted to build multi-level homes there a few years back, and they fought it, and they won. Not the people, but the citizens in that area won. Now these green zones, you know, they have benches and places for kids to play and talk and take care of things. But I also worked at EDS as an infrastructure analyst, and I had a diverse team. I had people from China, India, Japan, Africa, and we all got along great. The diversity, we learned our cultures from each person. We'd get together and people would bring food from their countries, and we'd share that. And we'd talk about the different things that was necessary. I was also infrastructure analyst for EDS, for GM, lost my train of thought. Well, when the plant shut down, it was my job to go there and to ensure that all the infrastructure was up and running. Right. And so that's pretty much what I did, you know. I'm originally from Chicago, came here, and been here for 34 years with my family, raised 2 kids, graduated high school from Centerline, lived in Centerline 10 years, lived in Warren for 24. So that's my story. And once again, Charles Perry, hope you vote for me August 8th, and have a good evening.
Next up is Ms. Mai Song, candidate for Warren City Clerk.
Yeah.
Joel, Jackie, Olu, and the official Democratic Black Caucus, thank you so much for putting this together, all the hard work that you guys are doing to give us candidates a platform. I appreciate it, and I appreciate all of you for being here. I'm glad they didn't put all the electeds together, because a lot of you who are running for office are my constituents too, and so I hope to earn your vote. My name is Mai Song, and I'm currently serving my second term on the Macomb County Board of Commissioners. I've been a strong, independent voice. I fought to keep public transportation running for our seniors, veterans, and those that don't have access to cars. And Martha T. Berry, our senior home for those that need additional help. I fought to bring back road repair funding to Warren and 911 and public service funding. I also fought to keep a grant writing position for the animal control department because I care a lot about our fur babies. As a county commissioner, I have had to serve and make decisions, difficult decisions, but always in an open public forum under the Open Meetings Act. And I plan to bring this level of transparency into the clerk's office by not holding election commission meetings private and including everyone in the process. I have done a lot of things as commissioner the past 3 years, but one of the things that I'm most proud of is not what I did in the boardroom, but what I did outside of that. And that was being a role model for my children. It was driving people to the polls and for first-time voters, and explaining to them that you couldn't vote, you couldn't cross-vote in a partisan primary, or your ballot would be spoiled. It was reminding people, or telling them that they needed to sign the outside of their envelope, otherwise their absentee ballot wouldn't be counted. These are all things that seem so simple to us, but for those that may have language or cultural or other barriers like income, a lack of transportation, and other no vacation time to take off to go and vote at the polls, it's a very difficult thing to do. And as clerk, I will champion voter accessibility and voting rights because it is so important. A little bit about me: I was born in a refugee camp in Thailand in 1984. My father was an ally to the U.S. when him and my family lived in Laos. They happened to live in northern Laos on the border of Vietnam. So my father was recruited when he was 17 years old. In 1975, when the U.S. pulled out of Laos, anyone that was Hmong was ordered to be persecuted. So my parents had to flee out of Laos. They hid in the jungles for 4 years because they thought the Americans were going to come back. When it was clear that they weren't, they fled to Thailand, neighboring Thailand, and that's where I was born, in a refugee camp. I came here when I was 3 years old, a little younger than my youngest daughter today. And I was the first in my family to have a full public school education experience. My parents understood the importance of coming to America because here we have equal opportunities. This is such an amazing country because you can, regardless of where you came from, who you are, you have equal opportunity to run for office, to vote, and to make decisions. So these are things that we take for granted, but as a person of color, these are things that I find myself to be, very conscious about. And as clerk, I will make sure that we hire people who look like us, so that when people go to our clerk's office, that they can be comfortable in doing business with the clerk and offering language access wherever necessary. As a person of color, as people of color, we constantly have to prove ourselves. I ran for office in 2020. No one wanted to endorse me. No one wanted to talk to me. Everyone thought I was going to lose. I had my phone hung up on me several times, and I overcame that, got elected, and got reelected last year. And a lot of you who ran for office or helped other candidates, you know how difficult it is to run for office. So I did not take this decision lightly. But at the end of the day, I had lots of residents who believed in me, that I could do this job, and who rallied behind me. And so that is one of the main reasons why I am running. And I want to thank the Black Caucus for organizing and for being a force for change, because that's what we need in order to have a seat at the table. Unfortunately, there are some so-called leaders in our community that don't want people to vote. They don't want them to run for office because they know that when we have a seat at the table, we can drown their voices. But as a public official, I will make sure that we make it easier for people to vote, for them to know about the democratic process, how to run for office, so that our children can have equal opportunity in the future as well. So I am asking for your vote. Every year we say this election is the most important one. Well, this one is. And so please talk to your friends, families, and neighbors and have them come out and vote. Thank you so much.
Okay, next up is Mr. J. Michael Jackson, candidate for City Council, District 5.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I want to say thank you to Mr. Rutherford and your staff with the Democratic Black Caucus.
Everyone's doing the work.
I want to say thank you for inviting me. I am J. Michael Jackson. I am running for District 5 City Council seat. And I'm doing it because we have been neglected and we've been overlooked for far too long in District 5. The needs and concerns of the residents in our district have been ignored, and I'm running so that they can see someone that wants to work with them and have a voice for them. I don't want to badmouth the present party is there, but I will say we haven't seen him in almost 4 years.
Right, exactly.
And we have seen corruption and injustice in that district, and very, very little funding. So it's time for changes, and I'm willing to step up to the plate and help to get them changed in place. I have served with the City of Warren Crime Commission for 5+ years, and I have also served as the chaplain for the Warren Police Department. I know what law enforcement needs to be more effective at preventing crime and making our community safer for each and every one of us. One of my plans that I would do as city council rep is that I would get involved in block clubs, getting back to block clubs. I've talked to the community policing officers, and they said from 8 Mile going north, there's very few block clubs. You have neighbors that don't know the next door neighbor. Why is that? So I'm interested in working with the police department as well as the residents and businesses in District 5 so we can become a more efficient district in days to come. My top priorities are increased funding for the police and fire, expand our community policing and modern policing technology, secure funding to fix the flooding issues across the city. We had that again the past few days, issues there. I want to be able to stand up to the consumer utility companies to make energy pricing fair across the board. And I want to work with the police and residents to establish effective policing throughout the city. And I feel that the biggest obstacle to Warren's future is the disconnect within our communities, our residents, and the neighborhoods. There is a major community gap between our mayor's office, council, and the people of Warren at present. We want to change that. We all have a responsibility for our actions or lack thereof, from the department heads in City Hall down to the resident and renters throughout the city.
Oh, went fast, huh?
Oh.
Next up is Miss Melody McGee, candidate for Warren City Council District 1.
Well, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. I'm gonna read quick for you. Get past this 3 minutes real quick. My name is Melody McGee, and I am running for Warren City Council and District 1 to improve economic development while helping those in need. I really do have the heart to serve. That's my slogan because I care about the people. Just to tell you a little bit about my experience, I've been in Warren now for 23 years. I was elected precinct delegate 3 times. I am a current commissioner. That's why I was late at the commissioner meeting for senior housing, where I not only give recommendations or approve certain things within what seniors really want. Keeping their rent at low cost. We just added another voting machine for our seniors and really help with whatever needs that they may have, case management and other things for our seniors. I'm a board member for the Macomb St. Clair Michigan Works. I work with the youth program. I'm on the board for the youth program. I was person who suggested that we bring in more youth skilled programs, and they have been approved. I was on the board for the Explore Boy Scout program, where we brought new programs for skilled trades for our youth in Macomb County. I have 20 years experience in leadership, manufacturing, and purchasing. I approved over $60 million work for new contracts for General Motors and worked for General Motors for 15 years. I have 10 years approval experience for budgets, subcontracting, supplier proposals, and I have a master's degree in human resources, organization development, and a bachelor's degree in business administration. I am also certified in Lean Six Sigma certification, and I believe I'm the only candidate that is certified in diversity recruitment. Okay? Make sure I'm mentioning that. Okay? So, I think my top priorities, my number one priority was to get, we speak of people of color. I'm happy to see everybody here, but one of the main things that I don't see is enough community. And I think we should be working as candidates to first get people registered to vote. And that's one of the things that I've mainly been working on, as well as my top items on my list, because we need those people to be registered to vote in order to vote. We only had 15% voting last year. I want to improve it for this year. So I intend to approve the budgets that include parks for our citizens, but I really want to design the parks. I have a certification in interior design, so I really like that type of stuff. Shift the city tax revenues to the most needed areas, such as the south side of Warren. Bring living wage jobs, youth programs, and recreational services at the park. The park, I want it to be mainly for our youth. I want to have programs and fun activity there. Providing resources and affordable senior housing within District 1. I want a resource center in District 1. Provide safer streets, crime prevention, using new technology. I think we don't use enough new technology in our city overall. And streamline city services to help small businesses and attract more residents. The more people we have, the more we improve our city, the more people gonna wanna come. Embrace inclusion in the entire community. I was co-chair working at one time with the city of Warren to try to improve diversity, equity, and inclusion in our city, and I think that is very important. And I'll keep saying that. If you're for diversity, then you would include the faces of color on your slate.
Period.
Yes. Period. So that's pretty much what I have. Like I said, I want to provide better homes and community services for all of us. I want better services for our seniors. And pretty much I've been working on that over the years. Thank you very much, and I appreciate it.
Now, Ms. Mindy Moore, who's looking for running for re-election at Warren City Council District 3.
Thank you so much. Thank you for hosting tonight. I'm sorry I'm late. I was in Novi working on a wrongful conviction case. There's a lot of those out there still since 10 years, somebody was in prison. I am running re-election in District 3, just to give you a little bit of my background. I sort of got involved in public service in '97. When my kids were in school, I helped on the millage renewal program, and the next thing you know, I was on the school board, and then I was on planning commission, and then my first term on city council at the at-large position. Then when I was over that, I was on Civil Service Commission, and I got fired because I questioned the administration. I got a little letter saying my services were no longer needed. And then I took off some time I had to make money to put 2 kids through Michigan State. So they're through school, they have good jobs. I have a daughter getting married this fall, and not fall, September. And so I ran again in 19. As you all know, it's been a very tumultuous term for all of us. This has been a very, very active and cohesive, in many respects, council board. We've passed a lot of legislation that is really, really good things that we need to have happen in the city. A diversity, equity, inclusion commission that would appoint a diversity coordinator in the city. Open government ordinance to give transparency to the residents for certain boards and commissions and what the city is doing, agendas. You have to, they're high. It's like, where's Waldo to find anything going on in the city, the minutes and agendas and things like that. And of course, none of these things happen. We have a Veterans Commission that we formed and we voted on, but none of these things are happening because the clerk would not publish any of our ordinances. So we are, more steps behind. We're getting opioid funds every year, and we need to set up a panel. The current mayor sent out, just told people, hey, you're going to get money without any vetting. And we found that's not the right way to go, that we need to have a panel of experts in the community. People are experts in addiction and all kinds of things, and families that are affected, because we need to hear what's going to be effective and what's going to help our city. So we're hoping that in the next term we get a panel together of experts that will guide us on how to make those decisions. Because the council, we have 2 major functions. It's the budget and legislation. And I've sort of taken the role of taking on the budget and coordinating all the discussions and meetings with whoever we could do. And we have a difficult time because we have budgeted a lot of things that aren't getting done. A skate park, 2 fire stations, and what else isn't being done?
Everything.
Thank you.